So I will skip the introduction about Talk and Talk. I don't think that we need because we all from home here, And I'm gonna presenting myself and saying good morning, YouTube. This is Bruno, and today I'm here as your host to talk about uh, today's topic is putting into practice. So we brought this topic today to know about your opinion, and I think that it's gonna be a good immersion, good meeting. And so my name is Bruno, as I told before. I'm 33 years old. I'm married. I live in Sun City. I I've been working at a freight order for 10 years already, and there I'm a financial analyst. I'm a host here for 1 year, and for me, it's been a pleasure to be here every Saturday with you guys and practicing my English. I have plans to learn more languages, but I need to confess that nowadays it's been really tough to do something because recently my son has born, so it's been a challenge, to keeping up the studies. But I've been trying to do it, even though it's something hard to do, and because I really love to be in touch with the languages, What else? Well, I think that's all. And Gabi, can you introduce yourself, please?
Of course. So my name is Gabrielle. I'm 21 years old. I was I was I was born in Pelotas, a city in the south of Rio Grande do Sul. It's not a big city, but it's but not a small one. It's a middle city in my state. But 2 years ago, I came to Rio de Janeiro, to work in a research project at the Federal University of Rio de Janeiro. And then I stay here. Now I'm working on another project. I'm starting my own company as a science entrepreneur. I'm not married and don't have kids. I don't have pets yet, but I intend to adopt one. I'm planning to do it. On my free time, I really like to learn new things and enjoy with my friends or stay at home, enjoy my own company. And I study English for many years. I think I started to learn English maybe 2011 in a traditional school. But I noticed that I just put in practice when I start 2 years ago, one year ago as a talker here, and I did some particular classes to improve my conversation skills. So these was the moment that I start to practice something that I learned before. So this is my experience about English. And then this year I started here as a host too. I think that's all.
Really nice, Gabi. Really nice to know about it, And you brought up something really good about, putting practice into practice, because sometimes we spend so much time learning something and we are afraid to use it in a real life, And English, I think that for all of us is something that we, in some moment, in our lives, we have that butterflies in belly, on our belly. So we are afraid to speak up. We are afraid to move on, to do the next step. And it's really important, to move to the next level, And I think that's the reason that we are here right now, trying to move. I think that we already moved, Now it's a new step that we are going to, And thanks for sharing, Gabi. Really nice words. And what about you, Ayla? Who are you?
Hello, I'm Yaila. I live in Belém. I was born and raised here, the land of Açaí. And Belém is very hot these days, so it's terrible. So I work as a public servant. I started to study English in 2020 because in that moment I wasn't feeling good to myself because I don't know. I think I pushed myself to get out the comfort zone. I don't like to stay at a comfort zone, you know, so it's bothered me a lot. And when I started to study English, I don't know, guys. I think it's so good for me. Nowadays, it's no more about learning. It's like a therapy. And recently, I started to study French because I think French is another challenge. And I try to do my best, but I confess sometimes it's so difficult. And that's it, guys. I'm a shy person, but I try to face my fears. And I like to talk about feelings. I'm not a religion pastor, but I like to know about the spiritualism things. So I love nature. I love animals. And so I love my family. I love spend time with my family. And that's it. Thank you.
My pleasure to have you here. And as you said, when I'm here with you, no matter if we have uh, a lot of people or not, it's not, it's not, of course that when we have a lot of people, it's better because we can have different ideas, different opinions. But when we have few people as well, it's really nice to be here because we have more time to speak. We can speak freely, we don't need to be worried about the time, and it's something that you said about English is not just more about learning English. Of course that we want to learn, but it's about the connections that we have here, and as you said, it's like a therapy. For me, it's the same, it's really nice to hear it from you because in my mind, I have the same idea, really nice. Thanks for sharing, Ayla. And taking this opportunity, and what you have said about English, and we are here to talk about putting it into practice. So about English, I'd like to know from you, if you are, for example, we are learning English, we are using English right now, but in your lives, guys, you are using it in a way that you wanted, or you wish to use it in a different way in your life. Hyla, can you tell us about it? How are you feeling right now about what you have learned about English and how you are using it,
So I use the English especially to connect to others, and for me it's the best thing for me to be able to communication to other people, to understand what people are talking. For me, it's amazing. So, and I think everyone should, I don't know, should learn another language because nowadays, I don't know, I improve my mind better. I consider improving my mind, and I getting better because it's not finished, you know. And I can understand better. I I'm not a so talkative person, but I realize that nowadays I'm more talkative, even Portuguese, because but because I think I improve in my mindset. I pay attention in the other way about the subject uh, as I didn't until now. And I think it's good. I think it's I use the English to improve my mindset, to improve my self-esteem, because I'm proud of myself, because nowadays I'm able to speak another language. It's so good. And I think and because this I started to think I don't know, to change a level. uh, Maybe I I can to make some course to improve my English and something like that, you know. And I think it's so good because, as I said, I was in a comfort zone, and I was so sad to myself, and I don't know, when I'm study another language, I feel energized, and I feel comfortable. I feel happy, and I think it's good. And if I feel this way, it, it means for me I improve not only uh, uh, a student, but as a person. And it's difficult, guys. Just sorry, but
No way,
yeah,
no way.
it's a
I
deep.
feel you. Yeah, I feel you because I feel the same, when you, especially when talking about languages, when you learn something new, you improve not just in a professional area, field, but in a professional, not a professional, in a personal life as well. So I feel the same. I feel the same. This improvement is not just about the professional field, but in a personal life as well. So it's good in all the areas, of our lives. And about English, in my opinion, I use English here. I use English sometimes at work, but I would like to use it more often. I would like to use it in a way that I feel tired to use it. In this level, I want to use English. Because I really like to be in touch with the language. Every single day I'm here, and I wake up early. Sometimes I don't have so much time to study, but I like to listen the news early in the morning. The first thing that I do in the morning is that, put in put in a channel in English and start to listen the news. And listen. I kind of create an environment, to be in order to make sure that I will be in touch with the language. And it became a, a habit for me, because I don't I can see another way to learn something if you are not using it in your daily basis. So for me, it's really important to do this kind of thing. And yes, let's see if I will have this experience, and maybe in the future makes a trip, to another country, because it's different when you are here in your country trying to use it, and when you move on to the other countries, to be with people that are using it in a daily basis. It's different. I don't know if you have. I think that Gabi already have this experience in the past, and you can tell us, Gabi, how is this experience to use English in another country, and tell me everything.
So about my journey in learning the English is like I don't know. I started to study English because I need to know how to read specific documents, not specific documents, but articles for my research. So when I was in the middle of my graduation, a professor told me that English could be necessary if I want to become a scientist, because all the things related to science is communicated in English, because English is a universal language. So I remember that when the first time that I tried to read an article in English, I failed because I spend a lot of hours trying to read because it's so difficult to me. I didn't know the meaning of the words and the different the things that are there, because it's like it's so specific topics and use specific terms in my area. So I remember that I used to translate all the article to understand what they mean. But as I start to study English in a traditional school, it changed, because I start to try to read the article without translate, and then I became more it became more familiar to me, like the words and the specific terms and the rhythm of the article, because it's totally different when we try to read a news in a site, or when you use an app in English. It's totally different. And then when I went in doing my master's and my PhD, I didn't have difficulties to read an article, but I started to write articles. So I faced another difficult, because it's different, of course, because we don't have difficulties to read, but we have difficulties to write in a scientific way. And then when I finished my PhD, I'm totally sure that I can read and write in articles, but I faced out other difficulties in my career related to speaking English in public, like in a meeting or in a conference or in a training. This type of events started to appear in my career. And it's like I'm not prepared to talk in English. So then I started to do classes in English for improving my conversation skills. And when I faced the moment when I traveled to another country and seeing me in a situation that I need to speak in English, it was another challenge, as the same way that was the read an article for the first time, or the write an article for the first time, and then speaking English in a real environment it wasn't for the first time. So it was so difficult in the situation. I noticed that at the end of the training, of the end of experience in another country, I was talking in a better way, but in the first days was so difficult to me. It's like my brain, it's like when you go to a gym and do a lot of exercises and then we feel so tired. It's like my brain feels so tired in this situation, because I need to understand what the other people tell me, and I need to answer in a quick way. And sometimes I have a delay in my mind. So, and I think when I change it when I try to include the conversation, the English conversation in my routine, it became more natural. And I don't have more this delay to answer someone when it asks me something. And I faced other situations that I need to speak in English in my work. And it was not so difficult then in the past, because I have this content in my daily life. It's not a challenge for me. Of course, as Ayla said, I'm not considering myself as a shy person, but I'm introverted person, and sometimes I prefer to observe the others than speak. And in English, sometimes people can see me in the outside of the situation and think about, oh my God, she don't know how to speak in English, but I know. But I'm trying to understand the environment first and then speak. And now English is so present in my life in many days. In my work, I need to read and write and speak in English as well. And I try to use it every day, like when I create a playlist totally in English, when I see a reality show in English, when I stay here, talk with you, it's the best part of the learning process. And one thing that I learned in all this experience, this experience, I don't know, I started in 2011, then we are in 2023, so many years learning and failed about English. But when I started to learn something new, like exercise, body exercise, or other tasks in my life, I always remember that in the beginning it's difficult, but I do it. Because I get it in English, in all this process of learning in English. Why I cannot do it for other things in my life, like a board exercise? This is a challenge for me, but I'll try, and then one day I will get it.
Awesome, really good words, And every time that I listen you talking about your experience abroad, I get excited, because as I said, one day I want to be traveling, and I can say that all over the world, but in some places, and I want to use my experience, my knowledge, that I have acquired so far, and it's really good too. And somehow it makes me feel proud of you. I already said it to you, Gabi, and I'm feel more. I don't know how can I say, but I'm feel. It's like it gives me hope, So yeah, it's really nice to hear that, And let me ask you something. What is the most difficult part of learning something for you? because we have a lot of different ways to learn something, and there are things that are easier to learn than others. But in general, what is the most difficult part to learn something? The beginning, middle, the end. What do you think about it?
I I think it in the beginning, because in the beginning of the situation, because I think when we are starting to learn something new, we wait to a perfect moment to start it, like a perfect situation, like oh, I just start to talk in English when I have a bunch of words to use it, when I know how to use present and past perfect, when I know how to use past and present. And it's wrong, because you don't need to wait for a perfect situation. You need to try, and while we'll try, we'll improve the way we realize how words and how to use the correct words and how to communicate in a better way. And for me, and not just in English, but also in other things in my life, I know that sometimes I wait for the perfect situation to do something, and it's not good to do it. We need to just do it, and then we start to lapidating. I don't know if this is the correct word, but we need to we do it without to do it in a perfect way, and then we started to improving, So for English, I just comment to another talker, I don't know, maybe this week, but just in this month, I couldn't use perfectly the past perfect and the present perfect in a real conversation, because I use frequently the past, the simple past, but I forgot to use the past perfect and the present perfect in my communication. And then when I see the other talkers using, it's like a time for me to start to use it. So I learn with you, and then I put it in my talker, So this is the meaning. We don't need to wait to how to use. Just started to do something, and then you improve it.
Really nice, really nice. With me, it happens all the time. Sometimes I see someone talking about something using the perfect way, the past, the future, the present, and it makes me it reminds me that I need to use it, but the main thing in the end, I think that it is to communicate, we need to communicate in a way that people understand us, because we are, talking about English, we are English is our second language, and it's something that we are learning yet, and sometimes we will make mistakes, and it's normal. I think that we need to deal with it in order to not be or feel frustrated, about it. And yeah, it's really interesting that here on Talking Talk we can learn every single day, and we can fix some mistakes that we have been doing, along the way. Yeah, really nice, Gabi. Thanks for sharing. And what about you, Ayla? What do you think about it? And I want to ask you a specific question, about related with languages, and for you, Ayla, what do you consider your weakness related with learning something, in this case, specific case, English? what do you consider that you need to be stronger, you know?
My gosh, stronger. So, guys, I started studying English 3 years ago, and I've never studied before. And I remember when I started, it was so difficult for me, you know, because I don't know, I thought a lot to give up, and I felt so ashamed, and I totally agree with Gabi said when you in the beginning you want to speak only you have enough vocabulary and you want to speak correctly. It doesn't make sense at all for me. So guys, I think when I realized that to be able communication, it's the main reason because I decided to start to study another language. I think for me, in my mind, it was kind of, I turned on the key. I turned on the key of the learning. So, and oh my gosh, it doesn't matter if you don't know how to speak so well, present perfect grammar. So it's important. Yeah, it's important to know, to learn about the structures, how to create sentence. It's so important. But in the moment when we are trying to speak, so try to communicate, and it's important. And don't worry about the judgment, because I worry about the judgment. And the judgment coming from the Brazilian peoples, you know, the foreign people. And it's crazy. It's crazy because we don't speak Portuguese correctly very well. And why we want to speak in English so correctly? It's, for me, it was terrible. And in the middle, I think it's more difficult because you need to improve, to keep on your studies, and to to try to improve it over and over, because so guys, language is something alive, algo vivo, and all the time it's changed a lot, and you need to keep to keep it on and take your time. I think when I decided to take my time and don't compare myself to others, I could improve too, because everyone has your time. And you need to pay attention how you learn better. In my case, I noticed my oral memorize it's better than my visual. So I like you to listen, especially podcasts and speaking. And I'm so grateful to TNT, because when I arrived in TNT, I've started to study English one year ago, and so I think it's helped me a lot, because I don't know. I remember when I was in the other study group, and there people were so formal, you know, and I felt so uncomfortable.
I think that pros. Yeah. So yeah, but listen what Ayla said. I'm really proud of her as well. Because every time that I am here and I found her, it's like, yeah, every single moment she's getting better and better and better, and her English is skyrocketing, and it's really good to see her improvement, and what he what she has said, about her journey to learn English is really good to see how a language or another thing can impact your life in a way that make you uh, be a better person, learn more. For example, in my case, talking about uh, this experience, this journey to learn a new language. I started to learn English when I was 12 years old, and it was in a social project, So I spent there for 5 years, and then I quit because I was started to be there, and in that moment I was just learning grammar rules, So for me it wasn't enough, But then I realized that, because of work stuffs, I had seen people uh, at work using English, or uh, making questions about it for me, do you know how to speak English? Do you know how to use English? And I always told to them, yes, I know, but I don't have any certificate, and I didn't finish my class. So, and every time that I said it, I realized that people get a little bit frustrated, because in life, there are some stages, and in some stages you need to 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 acquire some knowledge. And if you don't have that knowledge, people start to look at you in a way that you will not like it, and it started to happen to me. And I decided to begin, uh, the learning English, and since 2017, I've been learning, and I feel that I'm improving. And now I became addicted, I can stand without a day. I can stay without a day, be in touch with the language, even for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, you know. I need to be in touch with the language. And I need to read something, and it's really important, I believe, in order to make it part of your life, you need to be in touch with the language. And and something that Ayla said, was amazing. That was not just it's not just about learning languages or anything, it's about the process and how you will deal with the obstacles that will appear along the way. For example, in my case, all the time I compare not compare, but I feel like I need to be better, in a certain point, and I put so much pressure on myself about it, and it's not good. In the past, now I can deal with it better, I feel more comfortable with it. It's like feel comfortable not being comfortable, something like that. So it's really nice, and it just happened because I decided to learn something, in this case, languages, and English. So that's the point, I think that we need to not just learn what we want, but learn with uh, the things that it can bring to you, you know. Yeah, basically, that's what I think, you know. And Gabi, let me ask you something about, for example, there are some situations where we are blessed with a course, you know, that we uh, receive it for free, you know. And when we talk about something for free, people don't care so much. I don't know why, you know. For example, Talking Talk on 2020 was for free. You just need to schedule a time, you know, reserve your time and go for it. But people, you know, sometimes people reserve the place, but didn't come, you know. And why do you think that it happens when we talk about something for free? Why people don't care so much?
I think when we are spending money for something, you become more worried about, you become more compromised with the challenge. Like, oh, I'm putting the money to do exercise. I pay the all the months the gym, so I need to go it. And when we don't do it, it's like, oh, it's for free. I'm not spending my money. It's okay if I don't go it to the gym. And I am the opposite. Fortunately, I am the opposite. When I gain something like here in Talk and Talk, we have the opportunity to talk and talk to others for free as a host. And I value it. I value a lot it because it's a good opportunity to improve myself. And why cannot use it for myself? But I know that sometimes you need to put an additional effort to do something. Like for me, it occurs like a body exercise, because if I have a lot of things to do in my day, I prefer to do it and don't do it an exercise. It's I don't know, it's a challenge for me, and I'm trying to change it. Like inviting a friend to go with me, or I'm thinking about to pay a gym, like compromise myself to do it every day, because I noticed that when it's free for me, like my yoga classes that I put on YouTube for free, I'm not feel compromised. It's like oh, it's free, it's there. When someday I would do it, and so it's crazy. But I think when it's related to my work, I'm feel more compromised. When it feels for myself, like it's totally wrong. I'm not proud of it. But when I realize that the things are for me, for my body, or for my health, my health, I don't feel so compromised. So I need to pay to pay with money, and it's like a compromise. I don't pay because when money are involved, it's like, oh, I'm spending my money, so I need to go. It's like this.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I believe that when we put our money in something, we need to make it worth. Because if we don't go to the class or whatever we are assigning, you know, it's something that we're gonna be regret, and it will hurt us in our pockets. Let's say like this, you know. So it's really important when you pay something, you go. And if you find something for free, of course, I believe that people think that when something is for free is not so good, or the quality is not so good, but I don't believe that it's true. Of course that there are some situations that it is true, but you need to evaluate it and see by yourself if it's worthy or not, because you are spending your time there. So if it's not worthy, you can just quit and don't come back. But if it's worthy, you need to go and uh, taking take this opportunity, because it can change your life. It's just up to you to accept it or not. So guys, Gabi, I would like to thank you from the bottom of my heart, because every time that I need to come and set up the things here, you are able to help me. It's for me, it's a pleasure to have you here, and I hope to see you in the next Saturday. I invite you all that are watching it to be with me next Saturday, and I'm gonna bring something good for us. And that's it, guys. So I wish you a wonderful weekend, and I see you in the next Saturday or along the week. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Gabi.
Thank you, Bruno. Bye bye. Have a